Hello,
Howdy.
people of the internet, specifically Crowfall backers of the internet, our favorite people in the world.
Always our favorite people, and we're not on a couch this time.
No, but we are back for another episode, in fact, the June episode of Ask the Developers from the Developers Partners Forums. We collect questions all month, we answer them there, and then we bring the best of those questions here, and we answer them for you, the public at large.
And they are the best questions.
Well, some of them are. Some of them are not. But whatever. We take a selection of the questions that we like. So anyway, without further ado, Val, hit us with the questions.
A correction, this is July. It's the July.
This is the July edition of the June questions. Come on. Keep up.
Bellboat wants to know,
Howdy, Failboat.
if we completely surround strongholds with tax-free parcels, will this drop the multiplier mentioned in the May video to 0?
Yes, it will, though we haven't released any of the actual specifics of the numbers yet because we know they're highly likely to change. And what we didn't want to do is get in a situation where we have you guys buying a whole bunch of stuff and then the system changes completely under the covers and you figure out that you've bought the wrong things because the math no longer adds up. So that's the design goal, but we haven't gotten to that point yet in the process.
Yeah, we'll figure that out once we start implementing it. But that's the goal.
That is the goal.
Xander wants to know,
Howdy, Xander.
will you allow landowners the ability to purchase and put in some monster camps and such for flavor?
So that's a big maybe. So here's the thing about the monster camp. So we don't want to go out of our way to build a bunch of systems and content specifically for PvE because that's really not what this game is about. That said, we're probably going to end up building the same technology for building PvE camps, which we do need to have in the campaign worlds, using the same tech that we're going to do for putting guards and archers and things like that into both your strongholds in the campaign worlds and your strongholds in the EK. So if it's low-hanging fruit, which it probably will be,
it will be.
I wouldn't be surprised. But again, we need to be very careful with that because we don't want the focus of the game to suddenly turn into EK focus, where everybody's worried about fighting monsters in their kingdoms. That's really not the point of the game. So
yeah, generally stuff that we build for the campaign worlds will end up in the EKs at some point because we've already built it.
Right,
but we're not starting the other way, building for the EK and pulling it into the campaign.
Right, you see that with our shop right now. We have a bunch of keeps and forts that we're adding up there. We aren't building those for the EK. We're building those for the combat milestone. And as they're coming online, we're taking advantage of that to also put them up in the EK, because why not?
2 birds, 1 stone.
Yep, there you go. Was that the whole question?
That is the whole question.
All right.
Next question.
OBS from the Lords of Death asks,
Howdy, OBS.
or says, one of my fondest memories of Shadowbane was the theory crafting aspect in regards to template building. In Shadowbane, you could start from scratch to completed character in a couple of weeks. Do you plan on capturing this dynamic for Crowfall?
Do you want to take that one?
Wow. Well, of course we want to kind of make it similar, right? We want to have lots of exploration and stuff. I don't know if it's going to be a couple weeks to build a character.
I mean, the time to level is not the same, but it's a very different system. But the
Right,
amount of customization...
The goal and a lot of different... I mean, again, you see us going toward the more customizable routes. I mean, just with armor recently, right?
But
we need to make these systems as customizable as possible.
Across the board, right? When you have classes, you have disciplines, you have advantages and disadvantages.
Promotions.
You have promotions. We're using character points in the character creation system. So, I mean, everything we're doing is leaning in the direction of try to give the players the ability to customize their character. The downside of that, of course, is the characters can screw up their players can screw up their characters.
You can make a bad character.
Yeah, you can, but that's okay. We know that we believe that there's a hole in the market for creating a game where you have the power to create something really cool or really crappy, and that power is valuable. We enjoy systems like that. We just don't see them anymore. So that was our goal, was to go out and create a system like that.
This one is from Knight, who asks, what level of UI customization will be available? Or at least, what are you planning to implement?
Yeah, so the quick and short answer on that one is we don't really know yet. So for anybody who did play Shadowbane, you guys will remember that it was a very, very open and customizable system. It actually was a fully scriptable skin system under the covers. I would love to offer that. And in fact, that's kind of the eventual goal. That said, it's not on the plan yet, so we're going to have to figure out a way to get it onto the plan sometime between now and launch or shortly after.
And we know players have never been happy. Everyone is never happy with the same UI.
Right, absolutely.
So everybody always puts in tweaks customizable ABC widgets
Yeah.
that they can kind of move around. I mean, there's tons of different things we can do.
Yes.
We want to do some of that.
So the answer is, yeah, we don't have it yet. We want it. We feel like we need it, and we'll do the best that we can to figure that
Yeah.
out. That's all I can give you right now.
Knight wants to know,
Right, Nate?
should the PvP community continue to be concerned about more PvE features?
Yeah, I'll take that
Yeah.
one. So the answer is no. We actually haven't talked about the Eternal Kingdom design since we put up the FAQ back in May. So it's kind of odd to us, to be honest, that we have heard like what's the recent focus on the EK, because we haven't talked about it. We have, in fact, the only time it's come up is in the dev partners chats like right now when somebody asks us a question about it. So I'll give you the high level though, which is the EK is a part of this game. It's just a secondary part of this game. So as we're building the campaign worlds, if we see things that are easily repurposable into the EKs, then we're going to use them. Like we built the
Right.
forts, we built the keeps for the campaign worlds. As a result, we'll also offer those in the EKs, and I don't see any problem with that. But I think the overriding rather question is, hey, the real concern here is, hey, is this going to turn into a PvE-focused game
Right.
that is going to really be about the EKs and not so much about the campaign worlds? And no, that's not the vision. The vision starts with the campaign worlds, and the EK really exists
It just picks up.
as a glue to tie those together in between campaigns.
It picks up the features, though, that we're building for the campaign
Right,
worlds,
yeah, we're not dumb. I mean, if
we're not building for the PvE worlds and then pulling it over to PvP. We're
no, we're
starting the other way
building
around.
with the PvP worlds, but as it makes sense, we're going to use those components because it's dumb not to. So, there you go.
Yeah.
From Knight, traditionally in MMORPGs...
This is the third night question.
Yes.
He loves to give us questions.
Yes, he's one of the better question givers. So,
Okay. In MMORPGs, items get discarded. Although in non-MMORPGs, so Diablo for example, items fall to the ground for others to pick up. What are the plans for item drops and discards in Crowfall?
you want to take this one?
Well, sure. I mean, we're building that stuff right now as we speak for the combat milestone. We're not putting the drop stuff in there because that's out of scope for now. Eventually, I think we'll get to it.
Yeah, so the initial plan is to do the discard method, right?
Yep.
As I drag something out of my inventory, and it's a way of deleting it. So that doesn't mean you can't move things. You can. You just have to use a container, and corpses, of course, are a container
Containers.
as well. So it's just the idea of, do I instantiate something in the actual 3D world itself separately? The answer to that right now is no. We may revisit that later. Again, it wasn't really in the scope of this milestone.
Nope.
So we'll see. Long term, we'll see. Right now, it's discard.
From Failboat,
How do you feel about it?
have you planned any sort of thief-type discipline that can actually steal from player inventories? Maybe for the dregs only?
So if we do have pickpocketing and thieving, it will have to be on the
I love pickpocketing.
I
and
know,
thieving.
I do too.
It's
So,
fun.
I've got one buddy of mine who is an old Shadowbane player, and every time I talk to him, he brings up how he used to corpse loot with his Iroquois. He would just sit there stealing stuff, like floating in
Yeah.
the air invisible or
In
something.
Ultima Online, I used to sit on players' doorsteps and wait for them to run by and steal from them as they went in their house.
Right.
I'd take their key, and then I'd have access to their house.
Yeah, so we haven't specifically built the plan for it. We do love it, and we do want to have it in. So I'm sure that it'll either fall naturally onto some archetypes, or it'll be put into one or more disciplines.
Right.
Most likely both. It'll probably come naturally on some archetypes. We'll also allow it on some disciplines as well.
Yeah, we're moving a lot of
cross-train it.
the class stuff into disciplines as well because it's kind of cool to pick up something that another class can do.
Yep. There you go.